have sales systems in place right now?
What's your name?
How many of you are achieving mind-blowing success with those systems? Nobody. Okay. How many of you are wondering if playing the lottery twice a week is a winning system?
No.
Okay. Well, whatever your system is, I'm going to give you some ideas here today that's going to help you improve your sales. My name is John Pyron. I'm the president and CEO of John Pyron Coaching. I started this company 2 years ago with two missions in mind. Number one, to help small business owners dominate their space. One of the things I've done 3 times so far is take a business from nothing to $1 million and sold each one of them. And it's that experience that gives me the opportunity to now coach about 25 different business owners all across the United States. So one of the things I get to do every morning when I wake up is I get to talk to different business owners and address different problems. And as a result, I mean, I'm having the time of my life right now. The other thing I do is I help salespeople become number one in their company. Because let's face it, unless you're the lead dog in the pack, the view is always the same. And so right now I lead about 122 trainers across 6 countries. I do it in a mastermind fashion every Monday morning. And one of the things that I want to talk to you about today is about how do you, all of us are speakers here. How many of you are making lots of money as a speaker? Okay. How many of you would like to make lots of money as a speaker? Okay. Well, I think the goals that I picked for today, we're going to be able to go over some ideas that are going to be able to help you in that area. So I have a couple of goals for today. Number one, I'm going to talk about 3 ways to increase your results. Now, the nice thing about this one topic is you can apply it to any area of your life. Whether it's business, whether it's sales, whether you're married, to your kids, to your finance. I use this one principle right here for the last 20 years since I first heard Broom teach it to me back in 1993. And every single month I sit down at the end of the month and I run these 3 systems. Because let's face it, we can all improve in a lot of different areas, but how many of you would agree that it's easier to improve in one area versus 25?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Next thing I'm going to talk about is how do you book more speaking engagements where you can actually turn them into money? I speak to about 15 to 20 different companies every single month. And out of those 15 to 20 talks, normally about 12 of them I walk out of there with lots of money. And I'm going to teach you exactly what I do to be able to do that. No matter what you're speaking on, no matter what topic you have, how to go and speak to a group of people that are already assembled, and then have a follow-up system in place where you can turn that into money over and over and over and over again. How many of you like to speak? Okay. How many of you plan on speaking for a little bit longer than a year? Okay. How would you like to know a formula that I use on a regular basis that can generate money until the day you want to stop speaking? Okay. We're going to talk about converting talks into cash. Okay. I do about 4 on-purpose speaking engagements every single month. This is one of them. This is the 4th one I've done this month where there's no selling involved. Yet, every single time I do a free talk, I give one of the best talks I do, number 1. Number 2 is it always leads to more speaking engagements where I can actually go and sell coaching. Now, there are usually 3 questions that go through my audience's mind whenever they hear me speak. I know these questions go through people's mind because anytime I hear any of you speak, or anybody speak for that matter, there's 3 questions that always go through my mind. Number 1 is, who is this person? Why do I care to listen to them? And more importantly, what's in it for me? Are those fair questions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I remember back in 1993, I saw Zig Ziglar speak over here at the Arco Arena in front of 10,000 people. And he shared something at in the speech, and he says, you know what, every single one of us in here, all 10,000 of us, me being 10,001, have one thing in common. And I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat going, he's about to give me the Holy Grail, man. This is going to be great. And he says, you know what? We all tune into one radio station, WII-FM, which stands for what's in it for me. So I want you to write down your notes, WII-FM. And so let me see if I can answer those three questions for you. And I'm going to do that by telling you my story. See, I have something in common with all of you in here as well. I was born at a very early age. I was raised in a town called Grand Prairie, Texas, which is, for those of you that are not familiar with geography, it's outside of Dallas, Texas. I was born in Dallas. And I grew up in a time in the late 70s, early 80s where it was actually safe to walk to school and walk home from school. You didn't really have to have your mom or dad or your big brother or big sister walk you home. Who in here remembers a time in this country when it was like that? Would you be willing to let your kid walk home today? You know, my school was about a mile away, and it was very fun. And I remember, you know, hearing my grandfather say, we used to walk to school 2 miles every day, uphill both ways in the snow, and I'm like, whatever, man, you know? And so the thing is I look at my life today and I look back at where I came from. My mom was a waitress, my dad was a tow truck driver. Not a real big family of success. In fact, my mom and dad actually hated each other. And it was constant fighting, there was constant bickering in my home. And about 1980, they decided to part ways. My dad took my 2 younger sisters, moved out to California. My mom stayed in Grand Prairie, Texas with me and my older sister. And about 2 years later, through a series of events, they decided, hey, we're going to reunite and get back together. Now, when you're 12 years old and your parents who just got divorced are thinking about getting back together, do you think that was exciting for me? Pretty darn exciting. I was looking forward to it. What I wasn't looking forward to was moving. Okay, I thought, well, he left, he should actually come back. Okay? But no, my mom said, you know what, we're going to move out to California, which was kind of exciting because, you know, moving out to California, you know, I don't know if you know about Texas, but in the Panhandle where I lived, there was some things called tornadoes that used to happen quite a bit, right? So when I hear these people freaking out over here in Rockland with a tornado warning, I'm like, this is nothing compared to what we used to do. We used to have tornado drilling training in school. And so we decided to move in 1982, in March of 1982, back to California. Now, keep in mind, I lived in a safe town. You could walk to school, you can walk home from school. And so how many of you in here are parents? Now, if you were going to move your child to a new state, would you want to choose kind of a safe city like where you came from? Is that like too much to ask, right? No. So we moved to this house. Now, that doesn't really matter what the house looks like. Though what you don't see is this house is located on 69th Avenue and East 14th Street.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, go to Grand Prairie, Texas, move out to East Oakland. Who in here is familiar with East Oakland? Pretty safe area, right? Okay?
What part?
Now, exactly. I walked to school. Now, my mom hadn't got the memo, okay, that this town probably was not the safest area. In fact, for those of you that are not familiar, East Oakland is consistently listed in the top 10 most dangerous cities in America. And back then, it was even more dangerous because I went to this junior high school right on 66th and East 14th. Now, if I was able to turn this picture 180 degrees around, you would see a village called the 65th Avenue Village. And back in that day, there was a guy named Felix Mitchell. Okay? He was a very Christian-oriented guy. No, just kidding. They actually had a parade for this guy down East 14th Street. When he died, he was one of the most notorious gangsters in Oakland, in all the West Coast. And if you go behind this school, down the street a little bit, there's a 69th Avenue Village. And they had their own gang. And the kids, thank God it was junior high, the kids all went to this school. And my mom had not yet gotten the memo that it was not safe to have me walk from our home to school. Okay? Now, here's the cool thing. I discovered I had a natural gift. God gifted me with some really cool talent. And thank God he did. I learned that I had the ability to run very fast. I kid you not. And I got lots of practice because she still would not pay attention to the fact that it's not safe. So I got very good at running to school, running home from school. Okay? In fact, I got noticed one day by the coach that led the track team. I kid you not. And I joined the track team. And I ended up earning first place ribbons over and over and over again. In fact, in the last year of junior high there, I was the fourth leg on the 400-meter relay. And we dominated. That's one thing we actually did do in the schools. We had a dominating track team. Now, fast forward a couple more years, April 1987, my mom decides that, hey, you know what? I like this boyfriend that I got, and I'm going to go and move in with this boyfriend. Who in here have ever come from a broken home? Okay? So you know exactly what I'm about to say is not very peaceful. And that is, when she left, I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm 17 and a half. I can't learn anything from these people. I don't want to be like this. And so when they made the decision, they were going to move to Livingston, California. Now, for those of you that don't know the geography, Livingston's down by Turlock and Modesto, and it was the only town at the time that had a stoplight right in the middle of 99. That's how you knew you were in Livingston, California. Because if you missed the stoplight, you would never notice. Okay? They asked me if I wanted to go. I was a senior in high school. I was getting some great F's in that class. And I decided no. I chose to take a trailer about the size of these 4 tables here, put it in the backyard of my friend's house, which had no windows, and I chose homelessness instead of moving with my parents. Dropped out of high school, went and got a job so I could support myself. Who in here has ever been homeless? Okay? Now, that's how bad it was. Fast forward to September 20th, 2010. The Business Journal did an article, actually September 24th, 2010. And it says right here that I built a company that did $1 million. Now, this is the second year that I was in the fastest growing companies list. What was significant about this is it was the center page. I was the featured business that year. So I went from being homeless at 17 and a half, broken home, broken family, always thinking that I was going to do nothing but work in the trades. I would never amount to anything. Because when you grow up in that environment, you don't think there's any way out. To fast forward 22 years later, I'm the CEO of $1 million company that I took a $10,000 loan from my mother-in-law and in 3 years built it to that. Now, why is this? What does this have to do with you? I don't care where you're from, what you're going through, what your background is. The fact that you're here says a lot about you. The fact that you live in America, you can make a decision like that and change your life. And the only way it happened for me was 3 things. You will be 5 years. Clark Broom told me this back in 1992. You'll be 5 years from now, 3 things. Number 1, the books you read. Number 2, the seminars and training that you attend and the audio programs that you put in your head. And then finally, number 3, the people that you associate with. And the first person that really made a huge difference in my life was this guy right here, a guy named Dave Vanny. Dave Vanny, met Dave in December of 1990, and in 1996 he became my personal coach. And he started speaking truths into my life about, you know what, it doesn't matter where you come from, John. It only matters where you're going. He started speaking success into my mind. Dave was a millionaire at the time. I started associating around with all his millionaire buddies. And I realized that, you know what, the gas station I had worked at did not have to be my reality. And I started learning that it doesn't matter where you come from or what your circumstance is. I built 3 businesses. I lost a partner. I've lost 70% of my business, rebuilt it back. November of last year, Thursday before Thanksgiving, my business went from a 6-figure income down to $600 a month. And in 6 months, I rebuilt it back to where it's bigger and stronger than it's ever been before. Why? Because I learned a long time ago, it doesn't matter what your circumstance is. It only matters where you're going. It doesn't matter where you're at right now. It doesn't matter if you only have $100 to your name. You could take that, and if you associate with the right people, and if you read the right books, and you associate and do all the training. I mean, we got information on tap today that we didn't have 10, 15 years ago. And if you have the heart and the passion and the desire, you can get somewhere. Anywhere you want to go. Now, I used to hear somebody say, you know what, you can be anything you want in life. And I used to sit back going, bull crap. Okay? If you don't have a heart and a desire, it doesn't matter what the possibilities are, right? I see so much potential at the cemetery, right? It's the wealthiest real estate on the planet. So lots of people that died with dreams that went unfulfilled, primarily because of their fear of not taking action. And so, 2 years ago, I met this guy, a guy named Eric Lawful. I wanted to break into this public speaking business. I want to learn how to sell from the front of the room. I had coached many people, and he started coaching me, and a year later, we built this, John Pyron coaching. And now I coach. I have the privilege of coaching about 25 different business owners from North Carolina all the way to Sacramento and every place in between. The other thing it gives me the opportunity to do is to train 122 people in about 6 different countries in the art of sales. And the thing I love the most is I've been there. I've been homeless. Okay? I've been on welfare. But I've also remember when this article came out right here, the same month my business partner, Justin Cooper, came to me and he said, you know what, I just got the financials back. Dude, why are you paying yourself $22,000 a month? And what it says there is, you know what, it doesn't matter where you are. It only matters where you're going. I'm more excited today than I've ever been because my entire business is about helping and changing lives and speaking truths into people. And today, in today's market, with everything that's going on, there's a lot of people that are misplaced. They can't get jobs. They're forced to start a business, and they need people like us to deliver speeches that provide encouragement so they can get motivated enough to go do something. I know people right now that have been 25 years professionals at what they do, getting ready to settle for a McDonald's job. And just by a thin thread, they got introduced to me, and now they believe that they can go somewhere. How many people can you walk out of this room and just affect one person? All you got to do is open your mouth. And so I'm going to give you some skills here today that you can go out and change the world. I want you to know that there's 3 ways to increase your results. Whether you're in business, and in your notes that I passed around, there's places for you to write this down. Basically 3 ways to increase your results. No matter if you're going to look at a business, if you want to increase the results of your marriage, you want to increase the results of your finance, you want to increase any skill level that you want, there's basically 3 ways you go about doing it. Number 1 is the inner game. And it's the mental aspect to it. It's our mindset. It's what we say when we talk to ourselves. What is our attitude like when we wake up in the morning? How many of you just wake up every day and just, every single day you want to go at it? Right? Very few, right? I do now because I've got routines in place for that. But most, as a natural human being, it's not something that we are naturally gifted at. It's a learned skill. Next is the outer game. This is the systems, your time management systems, your goal setting systems. It's that type of stuff, your database. Lastly, you can literally have the best mindset in the world. You can have the mindset of a Tony Robbins. You can have systems in place like a Michael Dell. But if you can't get your butt to take action, none of that matters. None of that matters. And so I'm going to show you how to master the inner game. I'm going to give you some ideas today that'll help you master the inner game, help you give you some ideas to better your outer game. And then finally, the very last idea I want to share with you today could be the one idea that you can apply to your life and experience the biggest breakthrough you've ever experienced. Who in here would like to experience a breakthrough? Fantastic. Well, let's hop into it. Let's talk about mindset. Mindset's one of my favorite topics to talk about when it comes to the inner game. And we can't talk about mindset without talking about the ability to always need to improve. Who in here believes that the mindset of the champion is that there's always room to grow? How many of you believe that you have potential inside of you right now to perform at a higher level than the level you're currently performing at? Me too. One of my favorite stories about mindset is about this guy right here, Michael Jordan. Arguably one of the, not even arguably, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And one of the things that made him so great wasn't the fact that he was born an exceptionally talented athlete, which is true. But what made Michael Jordan so great was his constant desire to always want to get better. He's number one. And his constant desires, one of the true stories is every single summer, even when he was at the top of his game, would be that he would hire a coach, he would work with trainers, and he would pick one aspect of his game. Not 25, not 35, one. And the entire summer he'd focus on one thing. Maybe it was the right hand one summer. That's all he would focus on is his right hand. And then the next summer, he'd pick a whole nother aspect to his game. And it was his strength training. And that's all he would do the entire summer was focus on his strength training. It was that discipline, it was that focus of always wanting to get better that made Michael Jordan great. But that's Michael Jordan. What about you? See, we all have one thing. We all have that one thing that we know if we focus on, and it's the one thing that we've been scared to death or we just never make time for, but we know there's that one thing that if we spend time on and we honestly went to work on it, would produce a better result. But what stands in our way? See, I set a goal at the beginning of the year. I said, you know what, I'm gonna lose 26 pounds. And I'm gonna go to the gym and do it at the gym. So I'm working out at the gym. How many of you have ever started working out in January and then by June you're no longer there, right? Okay, so that's where I was. So what if you actually had a personal trainer that you worked with? Would you think that you would report to the gym more often? Okay? What I want you to do is write down that one thing. Go ahead and write that one thing down real quick. What is that one thing that if you actually spent an entire season focusing on would produce the greatest result? Now here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and close your eyes real quick. Close your eyes. Do this exercise with me real quick. Close your eyes. And I want you to picture mentally that you've hired the coach, you've hired the trainer, you've worked with the mentor, you've read the books, you have literally focused for a solid 3 months on that one area. And now we're at the end of the 3 months and you are 10 times better in that one area. Take a deep breath and feel that. What is your life like? Is your confidence better? How's your relationships improved? What's your self-esteem like? Making more money? Whatever it is, whatever that one thing is, I want you to imagine that you've mastered that now. When you've got a really good, clear picture on that to where you can just get excited about it, I want you to open your eyes. Now, the magic move is this. In your notes here, write down what that one thing was. And then here's the biggest exercise. Here's what I want you to do over the next 7 days. And if you take action on this, it'll make all the difference in your life. Find someone who is already successful at that one thing. See, I learned a long time ago when my first mentor, Jake, and she had taught me this in 1990. Only work with a coach that's done what they're talking about. Never hire. There's too many book knowledge coaches out there. Find somebody who has mastered what it is that you're wanting to get better at, and you would be amazed if you just approached them from a place of humility and said, hey, would you be willing to be my mentor? You would be amazed. The most successful people that you approach, most of the time will coach you for free. I have a lot of people. They approach me and they'll say, hey, I got no money. And I ask two things. Number one, if we set a call, you're willing to show up. Number two, when you show up to the call, you play at a high level. And if you can commit to those two things, I'll take you on for free. No problem. Because my level of coaching with you will have you in a position where your customers will pay my butt 30 days from now, if you do the work. See, every single one of us in here, there's something about us that we do better than 90% of the rest of the world. 90%. And if you just grab onto that, how many other people's lives, how many other people do you think would want to master that area? See, I teach people how to coach other people to make money at it. And people are willing to make money at it and improve in different areas. People do things for emotional reasons, not logical reasons. And when you can show somebody, maybe you're the best at working a room at a networking event and meeting people. Do you know there's people out there that are scared to death to approach people at a networking event? But yet you can coach them and you can teach them. You know how you get good as a coach? Just do it, even if you don't get paid for it. Okay? And so, this is a good book. I want you to go out and buy this book on Amazon or wherever. It's one of the best books I've ever read about focus, about narrowing it down to one thing. It's by a guy named Gary Keller, who founded and started Keller Williams Realty, the #1 realty company in the world. And it's a phenomenal book about focus. So we talk about the inner game. Let's talk about the outer game. And one of my favorite strategies of the outer game is baseline strategy. I didn't even know it had a name. Clark Broom taught me this in a seminar in 1992. And he said, John, here's what I want you to do. I want you to sit down at the end of every month, and I want you to write out, okay, here's everything I did with my spiritual life. Here's everything I did in my family life. Here's what the results of my financial picture was this month. Here's the results of my job. Here's the results of my business. And do a baseline of where you're at. See, everyone in here has a baseline in terms of the results that they're producing. One of the ways we all measure results is in terms of income earned, right? Let's just take that one area, because you can apply this to every area of your life. Let's focus on this one area. And let's say you're earning $5,000 a month. 5,000 is your baseline. What's also included in the 5,000 is every single thing that you did to earn the 5,000. Your goal setting skills, your time management skills, the appointments you set, the appointments you ran, the clients that you brought on. It's everything. And the strategy is this. Continue to do what you've been doing because it's producing a positive result. And then what you want to do is you want to do one of three things. Number one is you can add something to your baseline. Number two, you could subtract something from your baseline. And number three, you can modify or improve something in your baseline. This is a client of mine, a guy named John Ryan. He's out of Greensboro, North Carolina. John hired me as his coach about 2.5 months ago. Very first thing I did with John is I did a baseline with him. Where are you at right now? Then we did this one exercise. I said, you know what? Why don't you do this? Let's say the powers that be came down and said, hey, you know what, John? You have 1 year left. 1 year left. You know what we're going to do for you in this last year? We're going to take away all your excuses. We're going to give you this magical debit card. And behind this magical debit card is a bank account that never runs out of money. So we're taking away the money excuse. We're also going to give you perfect health. And because we're going to give you unlimited money and perfect health, you can hire the best coaches. You can hire Bill Gates if you want. And so we're taking away all the excuses. And now what we want to know is what you want to do with your time over this next year. And each one of us, here's the biggest tip.
I mean, the biggest thing that you need to walk out of this room with, if you take 2 hours and do this exercise, it will change your life. Sit down and spend time with that question. Just picture it and go, okay, if I really only had 1 year left, and I had unlimited money, and I could do anything I wanted to, how would I spend my time? And what you're going to come up with is what we call dreams. And it's going to be on an emotional level because you only have 1 year left. And then you could do what I did with John, do a baseline of where you're currently at. And then the magic move is go find somebody you can coach and mentor with. Now, I'm not looking for any new coaching clients, but I know a lot of coaches I can refer you to. Okay, but find someone. If Michael Jordan has to have a coach, do we have to have a coach?
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. And so if you spend time with that, what's going to happen if you honestly go through this exercise? You're going to experience, a tremendous amount of joy. The biggest challenge I have right now is going to sleep at night and not being able to get up early enough. Because I'm fired up of where I'm going. Because I rehired my coach, Mike, and I came to Mike and said, I'm excited, man, I'm fired up. He goes, why? And I go, I figured out my new $1 million company. We sat down and we went over the exercise, and he says, no, that's not going to work. I said, what do you mean? He said, you're missing a component here, and if we add this component, that's a $20 million company. I'm like, I've never built a $20 million company. That sounds like a really good deal. Done $1 million. Now, it's not the money that drives me. It's the kind of change I'm personally have to go through to build it. See, Jim Rohn used to say, build $1 million company, not for the sake of the money, but what you will become in the process of building it. And I can tell you, after doing 3 of them, man, there's all kinds of change that happens. And I'm looking for 20, man. There's a lot of change there, a lot of room for growth, right? What about you? What is it that you always wanted to do? We live in a time in this country where you can do anything you really want to do because there's information and exactly how to get there. All we got to do is do the work. And so the key is being consistent. The key to baseline strategy is to consistently do it. To take time out at 5:01 on the last day of every month, I stop and I take about 2 hours and I do a baseline strategy. And I get the results. In fact, I've been doing that for so long, I'm like, wait, there's this thing called Facebook. You can actually form a free group on Facebook. And so I formed a group called Clean Slate Club. And so if you go and join that group, the cool thing about it, there's no selling allowed. I said, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this exercise anyways. I might as well do it and let everybody else join and be a part of it and teach them a skill. You teach a man to fish, give them a fish one day and then you feed them for the day, right? You teach them to fish, you can feed them for the rest of their life. A really good man said that one time. And it's true. And the thing is that Clean Slate Club, we're up to about 900 members now. We went to 900 members in about 2 weeks because people are hungry for that content. And I got some speakers lined up for next Saturday because it's the last day of the month. There's no selling allowed, which is cool. We go over inner game, outer game action. There's a special speaker for each one of those topics. And the only thing you're going to get from that is great content. The whole purpose is draw a line. The month's over. You can't go back and change it. Forgive yourself. Nobody likes a bully. Go in with the month with a clean slate and get fired up. We all can go wherever we want to go. The key is being repeatable. See, it's one thing to build a business to $1 million. It's a whole other thing to do it again next year.
Right.
And it's an even greater thing to do it the next year. And one of my favorite stories about being repeatable is about this guy right here, Jerry Rice. Definitely the best wide receiver at all times. What made this guy so great was he was repeatable. He picked certain routes and he mastered them. And if you spend 10,000 hours practicing something, do you think you can master it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can. And one of the true stories about Jerry Rice, in fact, if you go to Google and type in a football life, Jerry Rice. ESPN did a story on him earlier this year, and in that story, Steve Young made this comment. He says, you know what? It was the first Super Bowl I won with the 49ers as their football quarterback. And 3 days after we won the Super Bowl, I came to the practice facility to get something out of my locker. And I noticed there was somebody out there practicing. So I got curious and went out there and checked it out. And it was Jerry Rice running routes 3 days after they won the Super Bowl. While everybody else, because back then they actually did it right, they had a Pro Bowl a week later. Not like they screwed it up right now, right? They had a Pro Bowl a week later. Everybody else is already in Hawaii partying it up and celebrating. But he's at the practice facility. No coach, no trainer, nobody forcing or twisting his arm. He was there running routes. And it's a great lesson for all of us. If you want to master something, see, when you have a big dream, the how-to is the easy part. It just drives you. And if you're not waking up doing the actions that you know you should be doing, you need to get a bigger dream. We only got one life to live. Okay? The how-to, to build a great, successful speaker, trainer business where you can make good money, is marketing touches. Being able to touch somebody, your perfect prospect on a regular basis. I'm going to be teaching a seminar next Saturday on how to set that up. Number 2 is deliver group talks on a regular basis, whether you get paid for them or not. Find a group that's there and go talk. Over the last 2 years, I've gotten about 185 speaking engagement reps under my belt. Since this year, I did over 1,000 coaching sessions. Do you think I got a lot better than I was 2 years ago? Okay, 2 years ago, I don't know. Today, I still don't know, right? But I'm improving. I'm like Michael Jordan. Always room to grow, right? Next is close on something. Anytime you speak, always close on something. Even if it's giving away something for free. Like what I just did. I said, okay, I have a free seminar next Saturday where I'm going to teach you a marketing touch system. Every single one of you can attend that for free. Everybody else is paying $299 to come to it. Okay? Find something whenever you speak that's valuable enough that you can give away. Everybody wants to sell something. But I have found that I've made a lot more money just by giving away a lot of free stuff. And the money just comes out of nowhere. It's like manna from heaven, man. Next is follow up. When you do a speaking engagement, I learned this the hard way. I spoke at a company called Quality First Home Construction. There was 45 salespeople in the room. I closed 34 of them on a $299 product. I walked out over the $10,166 check. Not bad. $5 grand in my pocket, talking for 45 minutes. That was my third talk under Eric Laughlin's brand. I was like, this actually could probably work. I think I want to do this. I didn't follow up on any of them. I hadn't yet got the memo on that piece. The key is develop things of value that you can give away for free and follow up with people. Just touch them on a regular basis. Because if they came to hear you speak once, do you think they would want to hear you again? Mm-hmm. You bet. Do you think there's other speakers out there that you can network with that the group that you just spoke to, they could probably go speak to? Develop joint ventures. The key is this. Which one of these are you? Are you the tortoise or are you the hare? Slow and steady will always win the race. See, it's not about playing at a level 10 on a scale of 1 to 10 every day. It's about being consistent in playing at a level 7 plus every day. And you do that by being consistent, by getting up and having a routine. And with that, what is your one thing? What is the one thing you got out of my talk today that you can actually leave this room and implement? And I tell you right now, today is the first day of the rest of your life. And I hope you got a lot of value out of what I had to say here.